Very quickly, let's talk to our guest who's also in Abuja. We've got a guest who's been waiting. We just wanted to confirm that he is there, and apologies to Mr. Oronto Douglas. You're not being excluded from this conversation. He is the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Research and I believe strategies as well. Good morning, Oronto Douglas.
Yeah, good morning, Kay. Aledo, how are you?
Thank you, fine. How are you doing?
Yes,
okay.
you should have been the one we would have started this Oronto, you should have been the one we should have started this conversation with. First, regarding the issue of transformation agenda by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan. Now, you are part of the people that's put the document that Alero alluded to at the beginning of this program. You were part of the people that put it together. In terms of the scorecard, you've heard what our guests here have said so far. What would you be saying about transformation agenda of the president? What has been achieved so far?
Well, Kay, thank you very much. And good morning, viewers and listeners to this program. I want to begin by taking your mind back to 1960, because for you to understand where Dr. Jonathan is coming from, we will need to situate what we are seeing today. Nigeria has passed through or is going through 3 consensus and 3 imperatives. The first consensus is the independence consensus. The second is the military consensus, and the third is the democratic consensus. The independent consensus, necessitated Nigerians coming together to unrest our freedom from imperial Britain. The military consensus held the country together through military autocratic dictatorship, which was supposed to deliver development to Nigeria. There were agitations for an end to that military consensus, and a democratic consensus emerged. That democratic consensus transited to the first democratic imperative. This democratic imperative is the imperative that will deliver fundamental freedom, justice, and equity, and engender our unity as a nation. Now, while that democratic imperative is on, there is the good governance imperative, which is the second imperative. Now, the good governance imperative is what has bettered us to the transformation agenda. And Dr. Jonathan, on coming into office, decided that from the independent consensus, through military consensus, through the democratic consensus, the democratic imperative, to the present good governance imperative, it must be situated within the context of a transformation agenda. And that transformation agenda is anchored on a sure and steady strategy, which is focused on looking at agriculture, aviation, the health, education, and infrastructure. Now, if you look at all of this, you would then say, what are we transiting from? But of course, talking about infrastructure, you have to include power as well. So if we are going to examine all of this, and as the document has revealed, there has been steady, sure, and firm progress on all these sectors. There is no Nigerian that has traveled around the country that will not have noticed that several rebuilding programs of our airports are ongoing. It has not happened in 5 decades. In the agricultural sector, the fertilizer scam had been smashed. Cassava is on ascendancy. There's massive program to produce rice locally, where we've been spending over $300 billion importing rice. The government is empowering communities and institutions to ensure that the agricultural sector takes a frontline burner. If you go to the educational sector, 400 schools are being built in the north alone to cater for Almajiri children. 9 new universities were established to address the question of access. There is rebuilding and reconstituting some of our existing universities so that quality can be increased. So if you benchmark this and then look at the improvement in power as is being reported by ordinary citizens across the country, you can best understand the transformation we are talking about. The transformation is to transform from a decadent state, a not doing state, a stagnant state of docility and no movement, to a situation where talented Nigerians, great Nigerians can be proud of their country. And Dr. Jonathan is at the head of this vanguard.
Okay, thank you very much, Oronto Douglas. Now, let's start with the unusual suspect, and that is education. We know for a fact that every nation that aspires to be in the realm of a very good nation that is high achieving, you've got to be able to educate your children and grow them in the way that will make them be able to compete anywhere in the world. Our education system, every single individual in the education sector that I have spoken with, they're pointing to the fact that we're still not getting it right. We still don't even seem to understand how it should be done. Now, what I've read from the document that I've seen that you put together, Sure and Steady Transformation, I am still wondering, as a Nigerian, that primary education in Nigeria, what is it that the Ministry of Education is trying to achieve? It is not clear to me. It is not clear to any Nigerian. What is it we're trying to achieve at secondary level? The universities, 9 new universities, they've not been established. Yes, we know the government has the intention of establishing them. So it is process. It's in the works. But we know that you're trying to do it. When you mention 400 Almajiri schools in the northern part of Nigeria, we know of one that has been done. Where are the others? So please explain to us, because these are facts that we have to be clear without ending up assuming that all of these things that's being said have been done.
Okay, thank you very much. I think let's begin with the question of access. When the president in his inaugural address talked about access to education and quality of education, what he meant is that millions of Nigerians aspire to go to school, but they do not have access. In Nigeria, there are federal universities. The government can't do all for the state. We have a federal system of government. So the starting point is to ensure that the question of access is addressed by looking at the federalist principle in establishing 9 new universities. And those 9 new universities have been established. It is being backed by bringing 9 experienced Nigerians. About 3 or 4 of the vice chancellors that were appointed came from the diaspora, while the rest are from talented Nigerians locally. In addressing several decades of rot in the educational sector, it has to be taken step by step. The first is to examine what has happened in the educational sector. The president summoned a summit where experienced teachers came together with academics and everybody to say, look, this is what we must do. That was done, and the NUC, a task force, was also set up to go around Nigerian universities and institutions, secondary and all that, and make a report for government. With all this information, government decided that the whole question of education must be addressed sectorally, from kindergarten to university. And so the question of access is being addressed, the question of quality is being looked into, and you cannot do that without partnering with the state government. Now, if you look at I mentioned 400 Almajiri schools being built. One has been launched in Sokoto State. Several others have not. What you have seen is the one that was launched. That's what the media has seen. If you go around across the country, across the northern part of Nigeria, several of these schools are at various stages of completion. It is intended that millions of children in the north that have no access to education need to be brought into an educational setting where they will be taught both in Islamic studies with Western education and cultural endogamous educational system that will help the people.
Very interesting.
If you do not address education,
let me just take you
are
up
not
there.
in a position to address all the other fundamental issues.
Very quickly, Oronto, very quickly, let me take you up there, because what you're saying now is, yes, one has been launched. What is the time scale for delivery of the others that are being built? When will we see it happen? Because Nigerians are used to government making loud noise about one thing, and then the rest of it, you never see it because it just fizzles out, and we don't know. So a lot of Nigerians are asking the questions. When will we see the rest?
I'm very glad. I'm very happy that you are a patriotic Nigerian. You didn't ask, why are you building 400 in the north and you are not building in the south, east, or west? That is to show that you understand Nigeria very well. If there's a problem, address it. The 400 schools being built will be delivered before 2015. And it has to be done in quality and in partnership. Government don't want to build a school and leave it abandoned. There is a partnership between the federal government, the state, and local government to ensure that these schools, when delivered, are run properly, and the thousands of children roaming the streets for arms and all kinds of things that can be used for whatever reason are taken into classroom, properly educated, both in their cultural, Islamic, and Western education, to be greater citizens in defense of Nigeria.
Are you able to give us a time scale, Oronto? That's what I'm asking. Do we have
That's what we said. Between now and 2015, those schools will be ready.
Oronto, 2015 does not tell me anything. The president's term in office ends 2015. If by 2015 he's not achieved anything, there's nothing anybody can do about it. But if we know that 5 more will happen before the end of 2012, and then another 10 before the end of 2013, and then another 200 before the end of 2014, or something of that nature, there must be a timeline. There must be a milestone for achievement.
If you want the ceremonial opening of these schools,
no,
so that you can come and see for yourself.
That's not what I'm asking for.
But if you send your cameraman in
Abuja
to go around to some of those schools that I can give figures to him that are complete but have not been ceremonially opened, I can do that. Your cameraman is in the State House, and I am prepared to give him a number of schools that have been completed, but the ceremonial opening has not been done.